Hello class, my name is Nicole Kelso and today I will be demonstrating the initial family therapy session. For the sake of this video, I will be calling the family the Joneses, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and then the son and daughter, John and Jane. So for the first segment, I will be demonstrating joining with the family and gaining their trust. Welcome. Come on in, have a seat, make yourself comfortable. I hope you found the office okay. My name's Nicole. I'm the therapist, the family therapist here. Hello, Mrs. Jones, Mr. Jones, John, Jane. I'm so glad that you were able to make it in. I know that you came in based on a recommendation from Jane's inpatient therapist, and I just think it's great that you followed through. I know in the busy day, it sometimes makes it hard to fit extra things in your schedule, and I'm glad that everyone sees the importance in building better communication and understanding in your family. So I did get a little basic information sent over from the inpatient facility, and also when Mom, Mrs. Jones, when I spoke with you. But I would like to start off by getting a little more information from each one of you. Age, which schools you go to, grades you're in, if you're for the children that are in school. Mom, Dad, do you work, where you work, past work history. I'd like to hear, activities you guys are interested in. And then after we do that, I would like to establish some goals that, we want to touch on during our time together. So, Mrs. Jones, why don't we start with you? Okay, so for the second segment of the video, I'm going to demonstrate how I would interrupt any bickering. And for this part of the segment, it's going to be Mr. and Mrs. Jones that are doing the bickering. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I'm going to ask both of you to kindly to stop for a second, take a deep breath. I want to be able to hear what each of you are saying, where each of you are coming from, and I want you both to each be able to hear one another. And I think that maybe, when you're talking over one another and in raised tones, it makes it a little hard for myself, and I'm sure both of you, to really hear where you're coming from. Okay? So, please resume. So for the third and final segment of this video, I'm going to demonstrate how I would end this session, including assigning homework to the family members for them to work on and report back during our next session. So here we go. Well, I want to thank you all very, very much for coming in today. It was a pleasure getting to know each one of you, and I really look forward to our time together. I hope that we're able to work well together, and you guys are able to meet the goals that we talked about earlier when we first started the session. Now, I do like to assign. Well, I don't like to use the word homework because, people usually don't feel too positively when they hear homework. However, I would like to assign something for the families I work with to do in between sessions. So for this first session, if it's okay, I think Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I think it would be effective for both of you if you did some light journaling. I can see that you guys have trouble communicating with one another and seem to trigger each other's anger and kind of get a rise out of one another. What I would like for each of you is to write down things that you want to work on in your marriage. Things that, Mrs. Jones, things that Mr. Jones does that, kind of upsets you, and Mr. Jones vice versa. Things that Mrs. Jones does. Basically for me to get a better understanding. And John, Jane, earlier in the session when we talked about goals that we wanted to work on during our time together, both of you seemed a little hesitant, understandably. It was mostly mom and dad that, talked about the goals. So what I would like both of you to do is to each of you write down 3 things that you would like to get out of our time together here. Things that you think would help your family and bring you all closer together. And I will see you all next week. Okay, thank you so much for coming in, and have a safe ride home.